Hey there, we're Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy, your book besties who take the novels you love seriously.
This is Jack.
And I'm Amy.
And together we mix smart analysis with fandom fun. So let's get into it.
This is our Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks episode where we read your thoughts and interpretations, as well as discuss Breadcrumbs from chapters 57 through 63 of Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Silver Flames.
Before we dive in, don't forget Spilt. Spoilers, perspective, interpretation, language, themes. We're serious about spoilers. This is everything SJM. It's all on the table. You have been warned.
Including secret chapters.
Especially secret chapters in this episode.
If you would like more information, please go back and listen to the start of yesterday's episode. And if you want to submit your thoughts for our Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks episodes in the future, make sure to follow us on Instagram, where we collect listener submissions.
This is the longest we have recorded between an episode and the Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks episode. It's been over a week, almost 2 weeks.
Almost 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Actually, exactly 2 weeks.
Forgive us. That's all I can say. So
it's fine. We'll be fine.
We're going to be like, oh my God, I forgot about that. So there's that. In chapter 57, Cassian thinks of Feyre in her appearance at the night court. Quote, Feyre might as well have been a goddess of old, crowned and glowing, her belly swollen with life. Like the goddess Chthona from Crescent City 3, potentially?
Potentially. Eris comments on his history with more. Quote, they, the inner circle, believe a version of events that is easier to swallow. I always thought Rhysand wiser than that, but he tends to be blind where those he loves are concerned. What did Eris do that disguised his true intentions, that Mor chose to misinterpret, that has made everyone believe he's evil?
I mean, she either chose to misinterpret it or chose to lie.
Right,
You
right.
know what I mean?
I really hope we learn the
Me too.
truth
Me
in
too.
6.
I hope so. Eris tells Nesta about Mor. Quote, she knows the truth but has never revealed it. Why? Because she is afraid of it. I mean, there's a lot of people who think that they actually are mates. You know, and I can see like what's something that makes her actually afraid.
Yeah. When Eris wants to marry Nesta and Rhys asks why, Eris says, I have my reasons. From the shadows in his eyes, Cassian knew something more lay beneath the rash offer, something that even Az's spies hadn't picked up on at the autumn court. What is the reason?
He signed up way too fast to be like, all right, I'll marry Nesta.
Yeah, I think there must be something going on with Baron. There must be a threat. Or he thinks it'll buy him security of some sort. Who knows?
I wonder if he believes that he's not guaranteed to be the heir because the magic skips. And maybe he's just trying to get as much power as possible and Nesta's power.
Right. Yeah.
In chapter 58, after Nesta and Elain have their confrontation in the hallway at the river house, quote, Azriel stood in the doorway monitoring them, as if he heard Elain's sharp laugh and wondered what had caused it. Then his gaze shifted to Elain, and though it was utterly neutral, something charged between them. Elaine's breath caught slightly, and she gave him a shallow nod of greeting before brushing past. It's setting up for the secret chapter, but it's also interesting that Nesta notices, but never thinks about it again. I also find it interesting that Nesta never really takes it seriously. And if there's anything Nesta is, it's serious.
Yeah. I don't know if it's not about taking it seriously as so much as, like, Cassian kind of dwells on it when he sees these interactions, but doesn't do anything, like, further. Nesta's like, huh, okay, bye. Like, just moves on.
She does have other more important things in her mind going on right now than some guy being horny for her sister.
Right. Or her sister being horny for someone. Yes.
Oh, there's a message.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
Still in chapter 58, Cassian's gift from Feyre for Solstice is a, quote, painting, which he opened in private and had to fight back tears before he hid it behind the chair. A portrait of him, Azriel, and Rhys standing atop Ramiel after the Blood Rite. Bloody and bruised and filthy, faces filled with grim triumph, their hands linked as they touch them to the monolith at its peak, which will be mirrored at the end with Nesta's own painting at the path of Enalius.
Yeah. It's like a nice little, like, immediate breadcrumb. So there's a moment when Nesta and Cassian are having sex. Quote, so Nesta let all that lay beyond those iron walls unspool towards him. Thread after thread of pure golden light flowed into him, and he met it with his own. This reminds me of Bryce and Hunt when they're having sex and they exchange power. Some of Bryce's power goes into Hunt, and Hunt's goes into Bryce. And it really feels like maybe Cassian was a little maid.
Well, we do find out in A House of Flame and Shadow that the Illyrians were made by the Asteri to be foot soldiers. So they technically are made.
And she made him a penis soldier.
Now, their lovemaking, I feel like this is going to come into play somewhere, or SJM was just having a good time writing this, because their lovemaking ends worlds and creates life. Quote, release blasted through her, obliterating every last bit of that inner wall, raising mountains and forests, wiping the world clean with light and pleasure, stars crashing down from the heavens in a never-ending rain. Cassian roared as he came, and the sound was the summons of a hunt, a symphony, a single clear horn playing as dawn broke over the world.
You guys, I know this is a breadcrumbs and broomsticks note, so warning, I don't think I can save this. Like, this next little segment is all things SJM spoiler, I have to warn. The trove has been mentioned, the horn, the harp, and them having sex.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, it's described similar to how Bryce and Hunt have sex, where they like actually travel.
Yeah.
But I noticed it with the harp because there's been like another time where she mentions a harp with their music. And now with the horn, a signal, a clear horn.
I think I mentioned this earlier in this season as well. Like, one of their sex scenes is like creates life, essentially.
Yeah.
This is almost like cleaning the world and then starting anew almost. Yeah. But also, like, there's light, there's dawn, it's truth being accepted, as we've seen referenced over and over as a motif. There's a lot happening. In chapter 59, Cassian's gone, quote, replaced in training by stone-faced Azriel, who was more aloof than usual and wouldn't even give her a smile, because he's pissed off at what happened last night in the secret chapter.
Yeah, you're right. Because I was like, it wasn't immediately the next day, because the next day was the snowball fight. The next time she sees him.
Yeah.
Aligned. In the same chapter, quote, 3 days without Cassian might as well have been 3 months. She'd become desperate enough for him that her hand now slid between her legs in the bath, in bed, even during lunch in her room. But release left her empty, as if her body knew it needed him in her, filling her. Surely it wasn't normal to think of a person this much, needed them this much. It's because Cassian depraved Nesta of their sex marathon, and it actually really bugs me. It makes me sad. Like, they'll never have that initial horny mate session again. And if you can't have a sex marathon, then what can you have?
I mean, I'm sure they'll make up for it in the 1,000 years that they will continue to live.
Not the same. As someone who is not Fae and doesn't know what it's like, it's not the same.
Still in chapter 59, Nesta makes a wish over the charms she and her friends put on their bracelets. Quote, let me make a wish for all of us, she explained, gathering the 3 charms, a small gift for the friends who had become like sisters. I wish for us to have the courage to go out into the world when we are ready, but to always be able to find our way back to each other, no matter what. Gwyn and Emery cheered at that. And when Nesta opened her eyes, palm unfurling, she could have sworn the coins glowed faintly. Which is useful because they're about to go into the Blood Rite and they're going to be separated. So she's imbued power into them and they will find each other.
I love the idea of making a little GPS tracking device for you specifically.
You already have my location on my phone.
But sometimes you forget it, and you have to admit it would be helpful.
I'm actually surprised that you don't have, like, find my car keys.
We haven't had the time. It was your idea. The funny thing is, I'm not even the one who suggested that.
I am the one who suggested.
Yeah.
Because you were supposed to meet me at a restaurant and you were waiting. instead of just going like you said you would go.
I'm a loyal soldier. I go when you said you go. We never know if the other one's having tummy problems. In chapter 60, the day Gwen goes to cut the ribbon, quote, Cassian glanced over at Az, but his attention was fixed on the young priestess, admiration and quiet encouragement shining from his face, because Az saw her practicing during the secret chapter, and he's all proud of her.
He's proud of her. After Nesta, Gwen, and Emery complete the Blood Rite qualifier, quote, Emery blanched. She asked Cassian, we're not entering the Blood Rite, are we? Only if you want to, Cassian assured her. Joke's on them. There is no consent in joining the Blood Rite.
No, but there is...
Ooh.
Yes.
That just gives me another thought for episode 11 notes.
It's funny because for tomorrow's episode, or not tomorrow, Amy and I are recording tomorrow. It's next week's episode for you guys. There's so little notes, but the notes that are there are pretty good. And we already kind of talked about it. And now it's kind of a race to see who writes it down first.
I'm going to be pissed if she steals my thought. I will claim it back.
In the last chapter, 62, Nesta describes a red star. The mood hadn't been helped by a rare red star blasting across the sky one day, an ill omen. Nesta had heard the priestesses muttering. Cassian reported that even Rhys had been rattled by it, seeming unusually contemplative afterwards. That's the moment he saw Elain.
Which I never noticed until I was told to look for it.
Yep. It was one of those things where I'm like, no, it happens. I swear it happens. And then each chapter kept going by and I was like, I fucking swear it happens.
Which does make me wonder, is Starfall like an annual mass world walking migration situation? Like, what is that about?
I guess it does happen around Starfall. Or no, not. I mean, it's the souls.
Right.
But like, where are the souls coming from? Yeah, you're right. And then he was like, and then each year there's a little bit less.
Yeah. So is it like, is that when like Second Light, when they send
like
them through the gate? Yeah, it's a mass purging. I don't know.
Flush of light.
Lastly, Eris tells Nesta about the 3 sacred mountains, the mountain, the prison, and Ramiel. Quote, the Illyrians were never curious enough to see what secrets lie beneath Ramiel, if it, too, was carved up like the others by ancient hands. So what we're saying is there's going to be a palace under Ramiel because he calls it a sister peak to under the mountain and the prison. So is there perhaps a sister Asteri under Ramiel?
It's the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria.
Nice.
For any international people that may not know, those are the 3 ships that Columbus decided to sail to America and start shit and be a horrible person.
Yeah.
And attack the indigenous. Anyway, it just hurts me that what was formerly known as Columbus Day was on my birthday. And then...
Or it was around your birthday.
Around my birthday. It changed. It's every like Monday or something like that. And then every so many years...
The second Monday of
But now
October.
It's Indigenous Day. And so at least that's better, but it's also sad. Anyway, we're back to... Broomsticks. So we asked you guys, like, hey, talk about the secret chapter. What the fuck do you think? You and I talk first. You and I haven't. I mean, we've talked a lot about this, but like, we haven't talked about this recorded, I don't think. What do you think of the secret chapter? Because you just power read it again.
I just power read the first part. Here's why I enjoy the tension between Azriel and Elain so much. It's because it's forbidden. It has that forbidden nature of it, of this is wrong. She's got a mate. And I think because it's wrong morally for them to be together, that's what's so attractive to me.
I get that.
I was reading and like he's got his hand on her neck and he's like, we've never been this close. It's wrong. I shouldn't do it. But fuck yeah, he does. Anyway, that's why I love it so much. I think as I was reading it and trying to like really pay attention to what's going on in his mindset before Elain comes down the stairs and whatnot, we see for the first time how maybe truly troubled Azriel is.
Yeah.
We understand it conceptually based on his past, but he literally can't sleep unless he's like reached a point of pure exhaustion. He has too many razor sharp thoughts that slice into him anytime he grows still long enough. That is not the mindset of a healthy person. It also says, quote, too many wants and needs left his skin overheated and pulling taut across his bones. So it sounds like this is someone who intentionally or unintentionally is constantly depriving himself.
Yeah.
He is both sadist and masochist
Yeah.
at the same time, which is not a healthy person, doesn't make for a healthy relationship. So it doesn't matter who Azriel ends up with, he's got a lot of shit to work on. And we've talked about that before, but it is fascinating to me how his shadows do try to coax him to sleep, do try to tell him what to do in his best interest, and he resists that. Was it one of our listeners or was it a post on Instagram that I saw? I can't remember, but off the top of my head, what struck me and what hurts me is the fact that Azriel has really only thought of Elain as an object of sexual desire.
Was a listener.
That was a listener.
It
Thank
was like,
you.
I think we're gonna have to go through our emails because
DM,
I think someone submitted that through the form.
Yeah. When I think you read it to me, I was like, ugh, pain.
He only
Hurts me
ever
so
views
much.
her as a sexual object. You said many things, so I'm going to say one of my thoughts and then go into like the way he views Elain. So when it comes to Azriel viewing himself and what he does to himself, so this is your friendly reminder that self-harm comes in many ways. When we think self-harm, we tend to think also trigger warning to all this. Like I know we said at the beginning, but like trigger warning, I think particular with this subject. But self-harm, I think people think about like cutting themselves, right? But self-harm could be a shower so hot it burns and it hurts. And a lot of people like it, but like that's also, it depends on how hot you take it and how much you stand there. Like there's a difference between like, oh, it feels good on my muscles and to the point of hurting. And Azriel, from this small glimpse, we can see he exercises a lot of self-harm, even with like his lack of sleep. And he might say like, it's impossible for me to, to get sleep. And it probably is, but how much is he doing to like really fight to go to sleep? And how much of it is an acceptance of, well, I just can't sleep, right? And that is just a reminder that he does have a lot of self-harm. And when that listener submitted that thought of, he only ever views her as a sexual object, never as a person, at least in this small chapter. But if that's the one glimpse we're going to get, damn, that hurt.
It really does. And I think the other thing to that point is that, and as you read it, like he can't look at his scarred hands as he's touching her immaculate skin. Like that's the exact wording. And she has become, whether he intended to or not, the object of everything he can't have, everything he is not, and everything he feels like he can't have or deprives himself of. And therefore, he wittingly, unwittingly, has robbed Elain of her humanity, whatever humanity there might be within her.
Her identity,
right? And that's not healthy for either of them. We obviously don't know how Elain views Azriel, but whether or not you like the idea of Azriel and Elain, if they were ever to be a pair, there's so much shit that Azriel has to work on. And Elain can't accept him as he is right now.
I mean, not just work on for himself, but also work on the way that he views Elain. And again, someone might be like, it's just one small chapter. But at the same time, it's a small chapter and we get a lot from it. And we have to take what we get from it. And one of the things we get is that he fetishizes her. He loves the fact, and again, people might be like, he doesn't love it. He's not going to sit there and be like, I love that she's taken, but it's part of the obsessive thoughts that he has, right? And he is consumed with the fact that he can't have her. He's consumed with the fact that there's this like purity to her and that she is unmarked and that there's so many things you can infer from that. She hasn't been trained like her sisters. She's not a warrior like her sisters. She is pure and needs to be protected. He's protected her. He saved her once already. He has a thing for the savior complex of this pure person, probably because no one was there to save him. And on top of that, there is this ownership and claim that he has over her of like a certain selfishness where he goes, 3 sisters for 3 brothers. Why can't I have her? And again, horny brain is like, yeah. Why
I'm into it.
Have her? Yeah, I love it. Right? Analysis brain, and that's the brain we're using right now, is, oh shit, you don't view her as an actual person. You view her as something that is automatic, belongs to you. And rather than thinking like, and let's compare the way that Cassian thinks about Nesta. He wants to weather her. He loves her fire, her snarls, her claws, right? When he thinks about what he enjoys about Nesta, he thinks about her flaws and celebrates them, right? Like he actually lists her flaws pretty often and the things that he likes about her sharp teeth. And when Azriel is listing in his mind, or, you know, he's not listing it off in like a list, but all the things that he does talk about Elain, it's her soft skin, her pure skin, the fact that she's not his, the fact that she has a mate and, you know, 3 brothers for 3 sisters. None of it is about her.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, at least from this chapter, there's no indication that he knows her. He gives her a necklace of a flower because she likes to garden. And that's pretty much all he knows about her.
And isn't that what we said about Cassian giving Nesta, wanting to give her the little book the year before? There's a difference between, oh, you like something, and oh, I know you.
Yeah. And it hurts me to say it because I love the idea of Azriel and Elain together, but this is unacceptable. Like, from the point of view of what do we expect in a true romantic pairing in SJM's book. And they are not fit for one another in this moment.
I will say something, and I'm going to try to prove what I'm about to say. SJM is pretty good about having her FMCs or MMCs, the OTP, right? Of them actually seeing their partner, especially the men actually seeing the women for who they are pretty early on, right? And all of the ones that we like, the fake out ones, the guys don't see them for who they are. Let's look at Rhys and Farah and Tamlin, right? Tamlin did not see Farah for who she truly was. Rhys clocked that very quickly. Hunt and Bryce. Hunt was really, you know, he saw the bad, the good in her pretty quickly. And all of these other men kind of fetishized Bryce as well. Same thing with Elain. Kale did not see Elain for who she was. Rowan truly saw her, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Had to learn, you know, to see the good, but he saw her at her worst, right? Like, and he got to accept that. And that's where it's such an uphill battle, and why I think this is a sign for a fake out relationship, because the men tend to really see the FMCs for who they are.
Yeah. And you're not wrong. It still makes me mad.
I get it. It is hot. Like, it is a hot forbidden. How are they going to overcome these odds? What are they going to do with Lucian? Is he going to kill Lucian? What's going to happen? Like, you know, 3 brothers for 3 sisters. Like, I totally understand the forbidden romance of it. I will say, reading these final chapters, Gwen does have a lot more personality than what we were initially talking about, how she's just caricature. And while she is, like, there are some caricature aspects and we're not in her head and you won't know her as intimately until we're in her head, there is so much more richness to her. And this is such a Gwenriel and Ariel podcast, so, like, buckle up, kids. But, like, when we think about the dynamic between Azriel and Gwen, he sees her. He's seen her at her worst. He sees her trying. He absolutely meets her at every occasion. She challenges him, you know, like, oh, I'm going to cut that ribbon. Like, just you wait, you know, or I'm going to run this obstacle course. There's a lot of challenging there. SJM really set it up to be like, hey, here's the psych out relationship, the one that we kind of want happening. But then at the very end, like, Azriel's shadows hide from Elain. Like, they recede from Elain. They don't go to Elain. They do go to Gwen. They like her. They like her voice. They kind of dance around her. There's a lot of setup, and Azriel giving Gwen the necklace, even though people in various comments were like, he doesn't give it to her. He gives it to Clotho to give to her. And even then he says he doesn't care. Why even do it? Why? He doesn't have to do it. Throw it in the sigil like Cassian.
The sigil, the Citra.
The Citra, that one. The other river.
Yeah, I think we should get into listener thoughts. All the things you point out, I know, you're not wrong. It is important to note that Elain literally means light. So it makes sense that the shadows hide from Elain because she's a source of light. Light chases away shadows, or it creates shadows, depending on where you're at. But I think we're really not going to know anything. I mean, because at the end of the day, Azriel could die. Azriel could end up with no one. Azriel could end up with someone completely different.
Yeah.
And SJM's going to take us on that journey, and we're going to love it no matter what.
Yeah, but let's fuck some shit up, you know?
I don't know, because it hurts my feelings.
It really is, where you're like, we're not going to know. We're going to just kind of ebb and flow to this.
I don't want to predict the future. I'd rather look at the foreshadowing in hindsight. How's that?
No, because this is foreshadowing. I feel like you and I are pretty good about spotting her foreshadowing. There are times where we have been like completely off. Like, I think it was a lot of fun to have been well into this podcast. And when Flame and Shadow came out, and we had our
so
predictions.
Wrong on so many things.
Yeah, and I think it's important to make our predictions now, because I think that it is important to like say, here are the breadcrumbs I'm seeing, and so that we can later on say, wow, like that was totally, the interpretation. So it's good to have hindsight, but like I thought it was so much fun to look into Flame and Shadow and be like, oh, we were wrong.
I do want to say one last thing about this, and it's about the conversation between Rhys and Azriel.
Yeah.
So Rhys does call out Az for being like, so you think you deserve her?
Mm-hmm.
So like Rhys is immediately like, fuck that. That's like not okay. But Rhys's biggest issue with Az's attraction is the Lucian factor. And the fact that we need Lucian and Eris on our side. Lucian has a right to challenge you to a blood duel because that's an Autumn Court tradition. And Az is like, well, I would beat him. And Rhys is like, exactly, that's the problem. Like, we can't afford that right now. And so everything's very political for Rhys.
Yes.
And you know what this takes out of the equation? It takes out Elain's ability to choose for herself.
Yeah.
Right? And at the end of the day, anything that happens for Az or Lucian is going to depend on Elain's actions and her choices.
This is me having sympathy and empathy for Elain. I think a lot of choices have been made for Elain. I think she allowed a lot of choices to be made for her. And I think that sometimes when you allow things for too long, it gets out of control and out of your own hands, and it seems scary, or it might feel impossible to be able to claim and take things back, even though it's not impossible. At any point, Elain could stand up for herself. However, it probably does feel scary, and it does feel like she doesn't get to make these choices, and that feeling is not wrong because of like what you just pointed out, where Rhys is making this choice, Azriel's making this choice that he deserves Elain, and Lucian's made the choice that he gets Elain because they're mates. You know what I mean? Like all of these people are making choices, and Elain hasn't said anything. I mean, we know she's also horny for Az, but that's about it. And just as much as Nesta has struggled with the issue that her choice in humanity was taken from her, despite being happy with being Fae, like she did not consent to it, Elain had the same issue. So that's me saying that I do have sympathy for her.
And I hope that the next set of books is about her taking back control of her own life. If nothing else, we might not like her, or we might like her, but I think it's important that she claims control again.
Yeah, I typically like SJM's characters as I go through a list of characters I don't like in my head.
And all the clips of you saying, I don't like Elain.
No, I was going to say that I'm willing to like her, and that I always end up liking the characters that SJM writes. So the general question that we asked everyone, let's talk about the bonus chapter in A Court of Silver Flames with Daddy Azzy, Elain, and Gwen. Thoughts, predictions, things you missed in your first read. One thing I will agree with Rhys on, Elain and Az are not for each other. How much is Rhys's own resistance also knowing that they're just not it? Because Rhys knew that Cassian and Nesta, they're it for each other. I think more than the fact that they're mates, it's the fact that like they do work for one another. And Rhys never really stops it. Like, he's not happy about it. He doesn't like Nesta and Nesta doesn't like him, but he never stops them from being with each other. He never goes in and is like, you cannot, Cassian, sleep with her while you are training her. You know what I mean? Like, he knows that they work.
Okay, here's how I feel about that. I think on a fundamental level, although Rhys has seen the difference between his parents and their mating bond, he fundamentally cannot imagine rejecting his mating bond or having Feyre reject his mating bond.
Ooh, touche.
And so I think he's automatically empathetic to the idea of mates. And so he doesn't want to deprive Lucian of that opportunity because of how much Rhys values his own mating bond. Same goes with Cassian and Nesta. Rhys didn't ultimately like Nesta, thinks Nesta's a shit person, but he wants Cassian to have the joy of a mating bond the way that Rhys has the joy of the mating bond with Feyre. So until Elain makes a decision, or until there's more interaction between Elain and Lucian to show true incompatibility that the way there was with his father and mother,
Yeah.
he's always going to be empathetic to the mating bond.
Good points. All right. Congrats. You got me.
Rachel added something in the chat. I'm not convinced from the writing so far on Az being a match for either Gwyn or Elain. I think I'd want to see more personal development from Az. My preferred relationship for him to end up with is a therapist. But I don't currently buy that he and Gwyn see each other for their strengths and flaws yet. Agreed. I think that at a minimum, Azriel and Gwyn could be really good friends because they've seen each other at their worst. Kind of the way that Nesta and Gwyn and Emery see each other for who they are, right? I do agree. Az has a lot of growing to do before he's capable of being with anyone. Despite how much it hurts me, I recognize the signs that suggest that Azriel and Gwyn could be OTP. I do recognize that.
What's hard is, like, I don't point out every single look that Azriel and Gwyn gives each other. There's a lot of moments of Azriel just watching Gwyn, of Gwyn just watching Azriel. And, you know, from the beginning, it starts off with like, oh, he saved her. They're both like eyeing each other and like, ooh, the last time we saw each other was not good. You know, like, you know, there's a lot of like awkwardness. But then it starts to become where he's watching her train. He's watching her fight harder. She kind of sasses him and he gets to see her grow. Like, we haven't pointed out every single time, but there are so many more moments of Azriel and Gwyn looking at each other from across the room than what would be sane or allowed for me to talk about every time on the podcast, because then it would just be Amy being like, shut the fuck up, you know, the entire time.
Well, because we're with Nesta and she's with Gwyn so much, we do see a lot of them looking at each other. But I would say in the prior books, anytime someone's point of view sees Azriel and Elain together, they're looking at each other just as much.
And I agree.
Yeah.
No, but that proves that there is something. You know what I mean? Like, they are looking at each other just as much and someone is getting his interest. I'm not saying it's romantic yet.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think what I'm saying is just that no one's got a leg up on anyone else at this point.
I agree thoroughly. I just think that the only leg are the breadcrumbs I am perceiving.
Right. It's all about perception.
Yeah. Rachel says, nothing quite like a trauma bond. I do think SJM has shown more signs for Gwenriel with the shadows sitting on his shoulders and his shadows dancing with her breath. Those are much more convincing than his sexual obsession with Elain. True to that.
Let me read this email from Eva because it, I think, does a good job. It's long, does a good job talking about this very subject.
I'm cozy.
I've heard you guys and many people call Az a fuckboy for the sexual way he is thinking about Elain and his behavior with the necklace, but I don't think he's actually a fuckboy. I just believe that he is socially incapable of interacting with other people in a fully functioning way. The level of disassociation he has forced himself into to survive his abusive childhood has made him incapable of fully emotionally relating with other people, since he can't truly emotionally relate to himself. No one survives that kind of abuse not permanently scarred for life, and Az is doing pretty well for himself even if he is not or never will be able to fully relate to someone. His 500-year obsession with Morrigan shows just that he feels safer in not truly relating. Mor is a female who has shown many times that she's not interested in Az, a female who he very well knows to prefer females, and who is therefore the impossible, unattainable ideal of a female whom he can safely male gaze from a distance and never truly have to risk relating to on a raw emotional level. This reminds me of something I wanted to say about Elain, but I'm going to keep reading because Eva might say it for us. Elain is exactly the same. Stunning, kind, good-humored, and he cannot stop male-gazing her. Throughout the whole chapter, there is never one instance where he relates emotionally to her. She simply is this impossible, unattainable ideal, a male, secret, and dirty sexual fantasy. The only problem is that Elain, even though she has a mate, truly prefers Azriel, truly studies his quirks and preferences, truly thinks about his daily reality and what he has to face every day, and is truly not that unattainable after all. She throws him longing, shy glances along the dinner table, buys him humorous/thoughtful Christmas presents, spurns a mating bond for him, is truly ready for real connection, a real relationship, real love, and Az, who has poured his whole heart into the stereotypical ideal female present, which of course has not actually been bought with the real female in mind, just the idea of her, is so close to living life for once instead of watching it from the sidelines, and leans in to kiss her. Rhysand, the worst cockblock in this series, intervenes, and the scene that follows is ugly. He talks down on Az, dismisses his affection as simple horniness with the expression, quote, panting after her. Even though I am a Rhysand fan, he made me so angry in that single sentence, or in that single scene, with what I interpreted on the first reading as condescension, arrogance, and lack of drive to help his friend. Of course, my feelings towards Rhysand changed after I finished reading the chapter. Az leaves the river house entirely demotivated from pursuing Elain, perfectly happy to wallow in self-pity, self-loathing, and remain on the sidelines of life since he had never truly related to the real her, and it doesn't truly cost him emotionally to give up the practical possibility of a real relationship, and bumps into Gwen, and has a brief interaction with her in the training ring. They have a small chat, and during that whole talk, he never once thinks of her either romantically or sexually. She just distracts him enough to get him out of his head into real life. A real chat, a real human encounter. A small step towards possible connection. The next day, he decides to leave the necklace to Clotho to anonymously give to Gwyn, and all hell in the fandom breaks loose. Now he and Gwyn are so obviously mate / he is a fuckboy / he's an asshole, etc. Now, donating the necklace to Gwyn was an extremely assholic thing to do. He should never have done it, but I believe that he did it because it never truly occurred to him that Elain will get hurt if she sees it on Gwyn's neck, since he is never that related to his own feelings and cannot truly connect to the feelings of others. Also, it never occurs to him that Gwyn might get hurt if she finds out that he originally bought it for Elain because 1, he never expects her to find out he donated it. 2, he's not planning a romantic entanglement with a student. 3, he has not a single idea Gwyn is into him. The guy's not a fuckboy, he's just clueless. That's what Rhysand was trying to tell him. That he has no idea what he will get himself into if he gets involved with Elain, and that he will induce Elain to reject a mating bond for an affair with him, which will be very superficial at best, emotionally destructive for her at the worst. Kind of Tamlin scale emotional destruction. I really hope he spends some time on Midgard, gets some therapy / energy healing, and comes back more emotionally open. Then he and Gwyn might have a slight chance at happiness. Despite all this, I really wish we had a single Elain Az sex scene. I do too! I just want one sex scene, please! That's all I want.
Oh.
This did remind me of something I wanted to say earlier. Azriel is definitely male-gazing Elain pretty intensely, to the point that, let's say they followed through. They made out, they had sex, he's attained the unattainable. Does his interest then wane?
I mean, as someone who has been that person who's been attained and then they're like, oh, okay, got it. I don't know. I don't think Azriel knows. I don't think Azriel knows what happiness is like, especially since he hasn't even put together an accurate representation potentially of what happiness with Elain would be like.
Right, and I think at the end of the day, what he's doing, because he's done it with Moore for 500 years, he's now doing it with Elain, he's chasing what he know he can't have.
Yeah.
Right? And some of us are guilty of that, myself included, where it's easier to chase after the thing you can't have because then you don't have to think about what next.
Yeah. I think that's the reason why he fetishizes her only in a sexual way, because he cannot imagine what it would be like the morning after. It's not like Cassian, who just imagines a bunch of little kids and wanting to be a good dad for them. You know what I mean? Like Azriel can only think about someone in a sexual way, because that would then require him to think about them in an everyday, what's it like to be happy kind of a way. And that's too scary and too much. I will say one thing that this listener said was Gwen's feelings for Azriel. I don't think Gwen has any feelings for Azriel. I think both of them are pretty neutral about each other.
I think she's attracted to him. I
think
think she
everyone's
also,
attracted to Azriel.
I think so too. I think she does look at him in awe in the sense that, like, this is the man who saved me.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be alive without him.
Yes.
So there is some, like,
Savior.
yeah, she does put him on a pedestal a little bit.
It is a pedestal in the sense of like who he is and what he's represented, but she has given him shit during training,
This is true.
you know?
She is playful with him.
A lot more towards the end. You know, all this like, you're only looking at someone through the male gaze. Oh, you're only sexualizing them. Oh, Jack, you don't really know someone at the gym and just admire their 12 fucking pack. Maybe you don't know what it's like to be happy with them. And you know what? Maybe some of us can adapt, all right? Some of us can be very flexible if need be. This is not your healthy message. Julia, don't be listening. That's my therapist. Another comment from a listener is describing the necklace of the thing of secret lovely beauty is the necklace for Elain, but for Gwen, it's her eyes/joy plus spark. I think they're just kind of commenting on
how he thinks of them.
Yeah. Paige says from our DMs, to be honest, Az gives me little bitch baby vibes. I don't get the hype and can only picture him as David Archuleta circa 2009. Who's David Archuleta?
My God. The Mormon on American Idol?
No.
From like
No.
2008?
Oh, no. No.
No, that's not what I see.
Straight to jail. Straight to jail. I'm writing back to that. David Archuleta. Was he Mormon?
Yeah, he was.
Straight to jail. Okay. Ooh, here we
He
go.
participated before he went on a mission.
I'm just so bothered by that comparison.
I am too.
Okay. No. Straight to jail. Okay. So this is from a man. Not a man. Amon. Hello, I missed the story response, so I hope it's not too late. I really love this bonus chapter because it really shows up how much we don't know about Az. He looks at the powder box every night? Book 6 better have him yearning. You're right, he does look at the powder box every night.
He does.
He also views himself so poorly and unworthy of her, quote, a sacrilege for his fingers to her skin, tainting her. He's so sad, man. We've known there's mutual attraction between Elain and Az, but this is the first glance at how deep and slutty it is, and also shows how it will be a source of conflict in the next book. With Rhys, Lucian, Farah, maybe, who will she pick if she has to choose between Lucian and Az? Do you want to pause there and answer that before I keep going?
Visualize this.
Okay, I'm ready.
He's having sex with her, and he's like, I can't finish inside you. I'll taint you. And she's like, I want to be tainted.
Look, I've read many of books like that, all right? I've had many thoughts about like that, all right? Like, I'm on board in so many ways.
Anyway, please continue.
I can't gauge if he really thinks if he deserves her as a mate because 3 sisters for his 3 brothers, but he sure as hell wasn't going to argue about that to Rhys when he's been reprimanded for almost doing something stupid. Yes, also making out with Elain in the hall would have been stupid considering everyone at the house that could have seen him. Now, here's an interesting thought that I just thought. So Cassian saw Rhys with his mate and was like, God, I want that. I want a mate. Specifically, Azriel knows Elain is not his mate, and yet he wants that because I think the idea of a mate is too scary for him. It's another level of Elain is a safe bet. Yeah, deprivation, and Elain is safe because he will never have that true mate happiness if he is with Elain.
That's fair. Rachel said something in response to what you're reading. It's such an interesting dichotomy with Azriel thinking he deserves Elain because of the sister-brother parallel, yet at the same time, he also thinks he taints her.
Yeah.
It is a little fucked up.
Amon continues. Also, I've seen people say that how dare Rhys pull rank as though he's not their High Lord. He orders them around all the time. We just haven't realized until now because Farah has been an unreliable narrator and in Silver Flames, his Illyrian brain was short-circuiting. Lastly, was him giving the necklace to Gwen a shitty move? Yes. Does it mean he's moving on from Elain over the span of one night? I don't think so. We've had 3 books of him pining in the background for Elain. So I'm rooting for Ariel. If it's a love triangle in book 6, then I think it will be an interesting and heart-wrenching love triangle, and I'm excited to see how SJM writes it. I've really been enjoying the season so far. Can't wait for next week. P.S. Thank you for trying to figure out how to pronounce my name. Amy got it right. It is Emon, where the second syllable is like flan. Oh, nice. Okay, you had a thought. I can see you thoughting.
I mean, I would be okay with a love square, a love trapezoid, and you know what? It's a why choose, and they could be swingers. I'm also okay
wow.
With,
we just found my happy ending. I mean, their happy ending. You know what's funny is I don't think Azriel has shifted his intention to Gwyn. That's the funny thing is like I think some people do believe that that's Azriel shifting his attention, like, now I'll go into you, Gwyn. I don't think that he's looking at Gwyn romantically. I don't believe any of that. I believe it's all breadcrumbs for what will happen.
Yeah, I don't think he necessarily looks at her romantically. His shadows are interested, but if he thought of her romantically, he would be more intentional about how he gifted the necklace.
Oh, he'd be avoiding her. Like, that's the thing.
Also that.
If he thought about her romantically, he'd be like, oh, there's a girl on the roof. I can't go to the roof.
Or I can't train her anymore.
Right? I mean, when we get into it tomorrow / next week, Azriel is not as concerned as Cassian and everyone else. I mean, no one is concerned about Nesta being in the Blood Rite. That's like my one note where I'm like, really, you guys couldn't have like tried to be a little bit more concerned? But, you know, it's not the same as like if Cassian is. And I think that if Elain was in the Blood Rite, granted, she's not as trained, but like Azriel would be a bit more feral. I don't think Azriel likes Gwyn. Not yet. I think there's plenty of clues. Side note, I'm going through some DMs and someone just sent, or someone from a couple weeks ago, I'm catching up because gave birth and I just listened to chapters 50 through 53 of Heir of Fire and told my husband that he's mine and that I claim him just to see his response. Like you asked. He went, huh? Aw, yee, thanks. Various emojis. That's really funny.
That's cute.
Yeah. Okay, let me go back to some of these flash responses. Someone says, is it bad I kind of dismissed it because I want Elain and Lucian together? No. Other people, it confirms Gwenriel for me. Also, Elain will see the necklace with no doubt. Okay, so here's the thing. Because we posted a video about, actually, let's kind of scroll through some of those comments, but we posted a video that was like, oh, Azriel is a shit person. Like, let's hold men accountable. Let's hold these guys accountable. And one thing that people commented was that Gwyn doesn't know that Azriel is the one who gave her the necklace. When do Gwyn and Elain ever interact? And that's a great question, guys. And don't you have vision? That means in one of these books in the future, Gwyn is going to be walking around probably for Nesta and Cassian something or other, and then Elain's going to see it and have a reaction, and then Gwen's going to find out that it was from Azriel. Like, you're right. The only people who know about that necklace is Elain and Azriel. Gwyn has zero understanding or knowledge of it. Do they interact? No, which means when they do interact, it's going to come in the most problematic, like, perfect timing in a book.
I can't wait.
I love this shit. I love it.
And it's not like they will never interact, right?
Yeah.
They both are at the river house when Feyre is giving birth. And they don't interact then, but it invites Gwyn and Emery into the river house. That floodgate is now opened.
And it's going to come like
the most inopportune time.
Absolutely. It's going to be like right when Azriel and Elain have probably like secretly agreed that they're going to try to be together or something.
Oh yeah.
Like it's going to be after their first kiss. You know what I mean? Or
and it's going to happen in front of Lucian.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna get so messy.
Okay, I think they're gonna kiss secretly, right? And then it's gonna be like I think we're gonna do this. We're gonna
do it. We'll figure it out.
And then they go into the party because there's gonna be some kind of party they're gonna walk into, and then Gwen's gonna have the necklace, and Elaine's gonna look at the necklace, look at Azriel, and then just be like, and then distraught.
And Elain has said, "I'm gonna reject the mating bond. I'm gonna tell Lucian tonight." But then she sees the necklace and is like, well, fuck this shit.
I mean, and then he's going to be like, it doesn't mean anything. I swear, I was just upset. And then Gwen's going to be like, what? This necklace is from you? You know?
I thought it was from Clotho.
Or, like, I think Clotho's going to be a messy bitch, and I love her for it. She's going to be like, she's going to give it to Gwen, and Gwen's going to be like, this is from you. And Clotho's going to be like, it's from an admirer.
Yeah, secret admirer.
Yeah, like Clotho's gonna be a messy bitch, and she's just gonna like leave it in the most like, okay, girl, like,
Yeah.
it's from someone. But yeah, I think that it's going to be like a 3-way argument, and then Lucian walks in and is going to punch Azriel or something. And then Cassian and Rhys have to come in, and Rhys is going to be like, get him out of here.
Yeah. I mean, I can't.
It writes itself,
October
guys.
It really does. I can't wait for October. I really hope it's in book 6. I want it to be addressed.
The thing is, someone said, I can't remember if this was a person or a thought or a comment. Oh, no, I think it was Eve, actually. I think she said, do any of the secret chapters truly matter when it comes to SJM's books? And the answer is no. Like, SJM is able to continue. You don't have to have read the secret chapters to enjoy. I think she will recap the necklace. I do truly believe it will come into play. It may not be like a you have to have read it, but it will be a recap of it.
I agree. I bet it's from like Azriel's point of view early in a book.
Or Elaine's, yeah.
It could be Elaine's. I mean, it could be
you're
both,
right. We have to know.
Right?
We have to know Azriel gave it to Gwen. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think it could be Azriel sees Gwen wearing it at training, and he thinks about, how it got there. We could also get a memory from Elaine's point of view and how hurt she is by it. Like there's
another scene I can imagine. It's Gwen's like standing with, Emery and Nesta, and she's just playing with her necklace, like, not really, not paying attention. And then Azriel comes over, he goes, that's a nice necklace. And she goes, thanks. Clotho gave it to me. She said that it was a gift from someone, but like, and he's just going to look at it kind of, but he's going to look at it being like kind of just smug, like kind of like, oh, she's happy. I'm happy she's happy type thing.
Yeah.
And stuff. There's going to be that little tiny interaction. No, it's going to be so messy. Now, here's the other part is that yes.
I have another thought.
Go ahead.
What if Elain and Nesta are making amends and Elain describes this because she's depressed about it. Nesta's like, why are you depressed? And she explains the necklace situation and being turned down. And she doesn't know what to do because she doesn't, Lucian, blah, 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 blah. And then Nesta then is in training and sees Gwen wearing the necklace and is like, where'd you get that? And she puts it together and then she confronts Azriel and is like, what the fuck, man?
The thing is, Flame and Shadow all but confirmed that the next book will, at the very least, will heavily involve Nesta. How much of it will be just Nesta? I don't think it'll be just Nesta. I'm really hoping we get multiple point of views, that we get other perspectives, and it's going to be closer a la Throne of Glass than anything else. But like, I need that to be a confirmation that it's going to be more than just Nesta, because I need that. You know what I mean? And I can see that happening in Nesta's point of view, but then fucking give us Azriel and Gwen and Elain and some kind of bullshit, because I'm tired.
It can be
I'm tired. Yeah.
We need all the answers. We need resolution to this. We need resolution to more. We need so many things.
The good news is, again, I feel like SJM doesn't draw out who the final person is. She consistently gives us who the main couple is very quickly.
Right. And then it's about their journey to coming together.
So in my heart of hearts, I truly believe in book 6, we will know who they are both meant to be with. If she doesn't fucking draw this out for another book, like if she allows the focus to be a little bit on them, then, we'll know. If the whole book is about Nesta and Cassian, then we're not going to get this for another bullshit long time. But if they are, we'll find out very quickly, and I don't think it'll be drawn out for all 3 books to see who they're meant to be. Rachel says David Archuleta's isn't emo enough to parallel as. All right, let's wrap this up.
Thanks for listening to Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy. Join us next week as we dive into chapters 64 through 68 of Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Silver Flames.
If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps other readers find us. And of course, we'd love to hear what you thought of today's episode. Share your comments through our forum at booktalkforbooktalk.com, and we might feature your feedback in a future mini episode or in a Patreon exclusive episode.
For merch and more ways to support the show, head to booktalkforbooktalk.com. You can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at the handle Book Talk for Book Talk. And don't forget to join us as we keep the analysis going by subscribing to our Substack to get more insights on the romantasy and romance genres. Head to the subtextsocietyjournal.substack.com.
Bye.
Bye.